When an alleged squatter enters through Airbnb instead of a traditional lease, landlords lose pretty much all control. And platforms like Airbnb don't really provide homeowners any real protection. The homeowner gets no background checks, no enforceable lease, no guarantee of departure, and no eviction support. So you're basically on your own.
That reservation ended March 29th after 32 days, and Romero hasn't paid another dime. But living in the home for over a month apparently lets her claim some form of tenant rights, and she refuses to let Roshane enter the property.
Imagine listing your beautiful property on Airbnb's website, having a reservation for a full month. You're thinking, okay, that's easy money, right? Well, in this scenario, 10 months later, the homeowner still can't get access to her home. You're paying the mortgage, insurance, utilities, property taxes, and the person inside hasn't paid you a dime since March, but yet they're actually claiming tenant rights. And so therefore you can't kick this individual out. This case out in DC is a really good example of how certain loopholes in our housing laws, especially around short-term rentals, can really trap property owners in a number of ways.
All of the responsibilities are on me, and I can't get into my property. There's a leak in the property. The water bill is escalating. I can't get in there to see what's going on.
A DC homeowner claiming an Airbnb guest has overstayed their welcome and will not leave. In this story you'll only see on 7 News. We're digging into DC law, finding out there's not much that homeowner can do. Our Washington, D.C. reporter Felicia Ashley spoke with the homeowner and tried to speak with the alleged squatter.
The alleged squatter originally got into the home through Airbnb, claiming that her apartment caught fire and it needed time to get repairs. Now, that was back in February. Roshane Douglas says she didn't know she was opening her life up to a nightmare when she accepted Shadija Romero's Airbnb reservation almost 10 months ago.
The reason why this caught my attention is because this story exposes a massive vulnerability when it comes to Airbnb. When an alleged squatter enters through Airbnb instead of a traditional lease, landlords lose pretty much all control. And platforms like Airbnb don't really provide homeowners any real protection. The homeowner gets no background checks, no enforceable lease, no guarantee of departure, and no eviction support. So you're basically on your own.
That reservation ended March 29th after 32 days, and Romero hasn't paid another dime. But living in the home for over a month apparently lets her claim some form of tenant rights, and she refuses to let Roshane enter the property.
In many cities, 30 days equal tenant rights, even without a lease. And so we as landlords need to be mindful of that due to the fact that depending on the jurisdiction that your property is located within, you can find yourself in a very similar situation to what we're seeing in this example now.
I never gave her any tenancy. I never gave her a lease.
Roshane tried everything, gave her a 30-day notice to vacate, called police, went to court, and even offered Romero $2,500 to sign a paper admitting she's not a tenant and to get out. Romero signed the document, but didn't budge.
So wait a minute. You go to the alleged squatter and you say, hey, look, I'll give you $2,500 to get out of my property. And the alleged squatter agrees. They signed the document. I'm assuming you gave them the $2,500, but yet they decided that they still aren't leaving your premises, even after you have this document in hand stating that they're going to leave after getting this $2,500, but yet they're still in your premises and you still can't get these individuals out.
November the 15th came and she told me, this no longer works for me. Do what you have to do. I'm not leaving. I went to the police with my order, and they said there's nothing that they can do, that I need to go to court, which I've done, and I do not have a court date until December the 11th.
And here lies yet another issue, right? This homeowner goes to this alleged squatter and they say, look, get out of my property. Here's $2,500. They decide not to leave even after signing this documentation. And you would think that this documentation that they signed stating that they're going to leave is enough for you to in turn be able to go to the police station and ask them to get this alleged squatter / trespasser off of your premises. But no, that wasn't enough. And that is the scary part about this whole process, where unfortunately the homeowner just does not get the same amount of respect and access to the law and to the judicial system. And therefore you have this individual that owns this property and they're spending thousands of dollars every month with the hopes of not losing it to the bank and getting this person out so they can hopefully recoup some of their loss. But imagine not having rental payments coming in for closer to 10 months, and yet you're still doling out $3,000-$4,000 a month on this property. That's going to take years to recoup. And so this person is unfortunately left holding the bag when it comes to these alleged squatters inhabiting a property and not paying their rent, their fair share in this whole debacle.
Roshane put this sign up on her home so police and the neighbors would know Romero was not authorized to be there. A sign Romero covered with a sheet.
I need police assistance.
I was there when police helped Roshane cut it down, while Romero hid inside.
Kudos to this homeowner for thinking outside the box with this sign. This is brilliant, in my opinion. However, this person who is the alleged squatter is still unfazed by this sign. They're still walking in and out of this house, and they don't care about this sign. And they're emboldened in a way when it comes to these types of moves that the property owner is making. And it's because of the magic phrase, tenant rights. And they know that they're not going to be easily removed from this property, even though there's a glaring sign that is calling them out with regard to their alleged squatting and trespassing of this property.
It's shocking to me that you would abuse a system like that.
While all this is going on, Romero's social media shows her living her best life on trips and promoting her nonprofit. And Roshane is left paying thousands in attorney fees, the mortgage, and utilities for a home she can't even enter.
So now, on top of the mortgage, insurance, utilities, property taxes, the sign that this homeowner had to pay for, they can't get into this property and inspect the leak that they know they have in this unit. You got attorney fees, you got court delays, zero rent income. And this is yet another example of how real estate is in no way, shape, or form a passive hustle, especially if you own rental property and you're relying on Airbnb. You are one bad guest away from 10 months of financial chaos.
I tried to get some answers from Romero, who was clearly inside the home, but she never came to the door. When a person walked out to her car, they didn't want to talk to us either.
Skedaddle.
Roshane is waiting now for her court date next week, where she's hoping the judge's decision will allow U.S. Marshals to force her unwanted guest out once and for all.
While the news was there at this location reporting on this story, the alleged squatter actually opened up their home, or this home, to in turn allow for her side of the story to be heard.
So first, let's just start with your first name and your last name. How you spell it?
That's fine. This maybe not the screen door since we don't know it.
So just close which one?
That one, that door.
Okay, good. Got it.
So she's like, make sure one of those doors is closed because the homeowner may come in the middle of this interview, the real homeowner of this property. So make sure that one door is locked.
Tell me how it got to this point.
Shout out to this news reporter, by the way, because this is real reporting. Like, she's sitting in this house on this couch that is not owned by this alleged squatter. It has to be pretty uncomfortable to be in this predicament. But yet this news reporter knows that this is the type of story that needs to be heard.
In February of this year, I moved into the unit initially through an Airbnb. There was a month agreement, which I paid for on the Airbnb platform due to a fire, which I then asked the owner if we could extend the time frame in the home. We came to an agreement that I could do that. She sent me monthly invoices, which I paid those monthly invoices in order to stay in the unit.
That is one of the mistakes that the homeowner made. The agreement outside of Airbnb to in turn allow for this tenant or this alleged squatter to still stay in the unit, but on a separate agreement outside of the Airbnb platform. And I think that was one of the big mistakes that this property owner made. When you in turn make that agreement, I'm not exactly sure in what format that agreement was, but the invoices are probably what holds up the ability for this alleged squatter to claim tenant rights due to the fact that there was an agreement made between both parties to in turn allow for this renter and alleged squatter to extend their stay in this unit and ultimately allowing for this individual to have those types of protections that your typical tenant would get.
I had a month where I had a financial loss of over like $17,000.
Was that due to work or personal?
It's a personal issue. I helped someone in the past and it came back to bite me because everyone could see, you can search me because I'm not hiding from anyone. So they were able to find me, and then I was held liable for something I helped someone do. So that put me in a financial strain. But either way, I paid. I still made the payment. I made the payment late because I had the issue. I'm sorry, I'm emotional. I didn't mean to get emotional. I'm trying to speak clearly. The financial thing was, like I said, almost $17,000. So it sent me into a depression where I was considering suicide because it was such a big loss. I was trying to purchase a home. That's why I had so much money.
Definitely praying for this alleged squatter, because the mention of the S word is something that we should never take lightly. With that said, there were a number of hardships that this alleged squatter started to point out, but that's not the problem of the homeowner. You're allegedly squatting in this person's home. They worked extremely hard to put this property together, put it in a format to allow for them to hopefully generate some type of revenue off of, to help with the expense of this property, and you are putting their investment at risk. And I don't think that's fair. I really don't. The truth of the matter is, nobody really knows how to classify these situations, and opportunists know how to exploit that confusion. While tenant protections are essential in preventing wrongful evictions, there must be mechanisms to help prevent weaponization of these same protections. If you're a homeowner, landlord, investor, you need to understand the laws in your city, because situations like this aren't just headlines. This is reality, and reality could strike in a number of ways, including you losing your property because of an alleged squatter not paying you rent for months on end, causing you not to be able to cover your expenses, your operating expenses on the property that is in question. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video.